Welcome back, friends. You have found Rocking It Grand with Chrys and Shellie, my good friend Shellie Tomlinson, and I'm Chrys Howard. We live in lovely Louisiana, and we are so happy to be with you today. We've got an interesting topic, I think.
I think it's a very interesting topic.
You know why I think that? Because, we've been in 2 years of, or more, of COVID.
Going into our third year.
It's crazy to say that.
It is wild.
It really is crazy to say that. Okay, and you kind of think in some of that things have slowed down a little bit because we couldn't go to so many things. But then what our numbers are telling us is that people are more stressed, more anxious,
more nervous
than they've been in history.
Absolutely.
Or recorded history. How do you say that?
I guess recorded history.
So I got to thinking about how can we relax a little bit as parents. This speaks a little bit to grandparents, but this is mostly to parents because parents are the ones who are feeling so stressed about their kids today. And there's a lot to feel stressed about.
There are a lot of concerns out there.
Yes, it's very difficult for so many people. I know some of your grandkids are homeschooled anyway, so that part didn't affect them. But for the millions of kids who were not normally homeschooled to have to come home and learn from home, lots of stressful things out there. So we thought we'd bring to you guys a topic about how we could relax a little bit. But it's not about going to the spa or getting a massage. Yes, we all would love that too. But it's adopting some kind of simple things.
That's it.
That if we just incorporate those into our lives, we should have a little level of relaxing.
That's it. And we should turn the podcast on.
Are you kidding me?
Are we turning the podcast on?
That one up there?
No, that one's on, but we haven't welcomed the podcast. We were talking to YouTube.
Oh.
We should welcome. We should open the podcast.
Okay. So
I'm looking at. I've got a bad hairdo thing going on.
You do not. It looks good.
Okay.
Wait. Okay. So we just start over on this whole thing.
Yeah, just on the.
No,
we just started talking to. I think we started talking to the YouTube people.
I thought I was talking to our podcast.
Well, we'll see when we listen back.
All right. Here we go. Hey everybody, this is Chrys and Shellie with Rocking It Grand on our podcast today that is powered by Christian Parenting Network. We love them. We love everything they do to help us get what we want to say out there to all of you guys.
And today we want to talk about how to relax.
Yes, we do.
Oh, because it's so needed. The world is anxious. We're going into our third year of everyone saying, when will it be normal? And it doesn't look like the answer is anytime soon.
That's right.
And so you have brought us a great topic. Chrys wants to talk to us about relaxing. And Chrys, you know what I love about this, because I scanned ahead, of course, is that these are not temporary fixes that you're bringing us, that, we can go to a spa and we can relax them. But if you have not changed the behavior, if you've not made behavior modifications at home where all the stress is, then you just walk right back into it.
Exactly.
So I love the fact that you have come up with acrostic.
It's an acrostic because I love acrostics. I'm a school teacher by training, so I like acrostics. They helped me when I was in school to remember what that answer is on the science test of all the list of whatever. I always made some kind of acrostic.
Teacher.
So that's what I did today. I took the word relax and turned it into an acrostic so that we can maybe all listen to this and go home and, okay, wait, what'd she say? What was the R?
Yeah.
And the R stands for what, Shellie?
Relax, because no one. Oh, I have my paper upside.
She had paper upside down. Now she's ready.
Now I'm ready. Realizing that nobody's perfect. I love that you're going to let me start with this one, because I do have the check it off personality. I want everything in line and everybody doing what they're supposed to be doing. And one of the first ways that we can modify our own behavior as parents in the home is to realize right up front that no one's perfect, and that means we're not going to parent perfectly. Our kids are not going to be perfect. And if we go into it with that attitude, we are so far ahead of the game. I remember, Chrys, Chrys had 3 children, I have 2, and my first child was born in go mode. She was not happy at all. She was ready. When Jessica was born, she was frustrated, and we couldn't figure out why the child was so frustrated. And as soon as she could move her own body, she was happy.
Yeah.
She was ready to go. So as soon as she could crawl, she was the joy of the home, but she was not right off. Well, when Philip arrived, I would go into where the baby bed was to check on him and see if he was breathing because he was so good. He was just Mr. Placid.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything differently with either child. It was their personalities.
Right. But you had this, I think that new parents approach parenting with this idea that maybe I have the perfect child.
Yeah,
Kinda, like, I remember thinking that with Corey, like she was just so sweet and so perfect for about 2 weeks, and then she started crying more and all that sort of things.
I was doing something to make Jessica, anxious and to not, and I didn't realize at the time it was her personality.
It was just her.
So I was trying to put her into a mold.
Right, and I think too, it's really true. We'll talk about this a couple more times. That a lot of things, the paradigm in parenting changed around the 1970s. Sadly, because a lot more parenting books came out there, and prior to that, children were responsible for their behavior. I can remember when my brothers, I had 3 brothers, so I promise you this went on a lot of times. If my 3 brothers did something wrong, it wasn't my parents' fault. It was theirs.
Exactly.
The
parents are not at fault for the kids' behavior.
The responsibility of whatever happened, whether a window was broken or somebody got pushed, went right back to the kids. Well, somewhere in the 70s, late 60s, 70s, this paradigm shifted where parents were held responsible for every child's behavior. So the principal at the school or the coach or whatever pointed the finger at the parent, and it made the parent feel guilty about something that they had done. And just like you with your babies, you hadn't done anything wrong to make Jessica be more anxious and ready to be out the door. That is just her. And so the sooner we all realize that as parents, that we are not responsible for everything, whether it's good or bad. Like, we want to take credit that we've got a little virtuoso who can play the piano. Like, no, that's not you.
You didn't do that,
You
Mom.
didn't do that. Now, you took them to piano lessons and all that, but you didn't do that. God did that. So, but also that bad behavior isn't all you. That child is misbehaving. And
so you're telling us that we can relax if we will understand that it's not going to be perfect, and that you're parenting. It's going to be challenging, and so we go into it with that mindset. We're going to relax more.
Just take a breath and realize that perfection is not possible.
Because you know what?
And that's it.
God didn't have any perfect kids.
He did not.
He had
He
zero
walked that garden as
kids.
the most perfect dad and still had imperfect children. So number 2. So our first one was realize they're not perfect. Number 2 is embrace unconditional love. Now this sounds like it should be so easy to do, because of course if you've got a little baby, you're going to always love them. But I'm telling you, that little baby turns into a toddler that can say no about 1,000 times a day and can drive you crazy. Then that same little sweet baby grows into a teenager that can do some pretty crazy things. So as soon as we all realize that we are children of God, I put in here 1 John 3:1 because in the message, because I love it. What marvelous love the Father has extended to us. Just look at it. We're called children of God. And see, God looks at us that way because we are His children. We're not His servants. We are His children. And so sometimes we get that servant mentality where they always have to be pleasing the master, like we have to even please God by the things that we do. But we know, we've all studied, we know that that's not what gets us to heaven. That's not how God loves us. He loves us just like we are. Any way we come to Him, He loves us that way. And so that's how we have to love our children. So when we can go ahead and embrace this idea of unconditional love, like no matter what you do, child, I am going to love you. No matter what. Yeah. And that's how God loves us.
Yeah. And when we can say, I do not like what you're doing, I can separate that from how much I love you.
Exactly.
I love you. I do not like your actions, and so you're going to suffer the consequences of those, which of course reminds me of a story. Can we just stop, tell a story? I have the best story about consequences. So I was helping with Bible school, and there were 2 little kids, and you could tell which child had been parenting, and I'm just going to be really vague right here. You could tell which child had really been parented and disciplined and which child hadn't. And the one that had not was just wreaking havoc. And so I was constantly disciplining them. Well, this other little girl finally stops, and she's 4, I think, at the time. She puts her hands on her hip and she looks at the rebellious child and she says, "You're going to be a consequence." And I got so tickled because she was parenting her parents, and she was saying she meant you're going to have a consequence, because apparently they had told her that, but she was telling this other little girl, "You're going to be a consequence." And I really thought that was kind of wise, because she was going to be a consequence.
Well, I think, the idea, like when you were growing up, I'm sure you were like when I was growing up. My parents were the typical parents of the 50s and 60s. Yours were 60s and 70s. And they disciplined us, but never, ever, ever did I doubt their love for us. You can do both.
You can do both.
You can do both.
You know what you can't do? You can't relax and not do both.
Yes, that's right. And that helps you relax as a parent, because and it helps the children relax, because I knew that they loved me. I knew if I did something wrong, they were going to forgive me and help me get that straight, and there would be a consequence, but that they would love me. And that way we both could relax.
I love that.
Yeah.
So we have R is realize that you're not perfect. They're not going to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. Our E from Chrys today is to embrace unconditional love. And she's going to let me do 3, which is kind of a little bit scary, because she's going to trust me not to sing. But the third one is let it go. And of course, I want to sing.
I would just love that.
No, I don't.
But there's not any rendition I could offer people that they would be willing to keep their radios going.
Yeah, I'm thinking we might lose the entire podcast audience if I sang "Let It Go." But I do love that you have brought to us "Let It Go." First Peter tells us to cast all of our anxiety on Him, and that is on our Father, because He cares for us.
Okay, were you a fisherman growing up in Lake Providence?
Oh, fishing? No, I was not. I was a little girl in Natchez, Mississippi, at my grandparents' fishing, but we didn't grow up on the lake. I grew up in the country. I moved to the lake as a grown-up.
Yeah.
So, but I fished with my grandfather growing up.
You understand that, and my dad was a fisherman. He loved to fish, and he taught us how to cast. So I think at the time, of course, this verse was written, the people understood very clearly what it means to cast things, to throw things off, to throw them away. And so the most simplest way, there's a word in it, to get rid of the burdens is to throw them to somebody else, which is
our Father.
Our Father.
And when we think of casting today, there's a fishing rod and reel, and it's connected, so you cast and you can reel it back in. This is not the type of casting that the Word of God is talking about. It is a total release, because when they cast in New Testament times and they would throw their nets, there was nothing for them to hold on to when they cast. You threw it away from yourself.
And I was thinking about that casting too, because when Daddy would teach us, I can remember sometimes I would pull it back and throw it, and it never went anywhere because I wasn't taking my button off, my finger off the button.
You weren't really releasing
so I really wasn't releasing it.
That's good.
I think, that's what we do so many times. Like we pull it back, like we're ready to give it to God, but then we just never
completely let it go. So what that would include, as I'm following your acrostic here, Chrys, would be not letting the days pile up, not bringing into tomorrow what you were disciplining your child about yesterday. If the subject has been addressed, drop it, let it go. I'm not going to sing, we're going to move on, but let it go, so that everyone in the home can relax.
And of course, every night before you go to bed, just turning all of that over to God.
Amen.
Certainly we know as young moms, or moms even of teenagers, when our children were teenagers, there was a lot to pray about at night.
Yeah, if you could keep your eyes open.
Yeah,
I always had to pray in the morning because I couldn't pray at night.
I used to go to each of my kids' bed, which you probably did too, and say prayers and that kind of thing. And then by the time you got to yours, you're just like crawling in bed.
Absolutely.
Yes. All right, number 4 in our acrostic, we've got realize. Nobody's perfect. We've got, now I'm already forgetting all my things. The E stands for, okay, everybody.
The E stands for embrace unconditional love.
Exactly. And then L stands for let it go. And number 4, this is going to sound strange to you guys out there. And how could this possibly make you have a more relaxed day? But trust us when we say this. If you act like the mom and dad, your life will be so much easier. And what does that mean? It is a posture we take. not of authority because we want to be mean and ugly and authoritative in this role. It's a posture we take because it's the order God put into place so that there is a peace and comfort in your home. Does that make sense?
Makes so much sense.
We've come to this place in America where parents try so hard to be their kids' friends, and I know you've all heard this before. They don't need another friend. They need a mom and dad who act like mom and dad. So when children have a clear understanding of what's required from them, how to live peacefully in your home, and it's enforced with loving leadership, you will have the quietest day ever. Now, is that going to be every day? No. Is that going to be every minute of the day? No, never. But when your children have that understanding that my mom and dad are in control of this situation, and I can remember one of the grandkids used to, he's the oldest of his family, and he would love to take control of everything in the car when all the, fighting and different things go on. And I would have to say, sweetie, you don't even have to be in charge. You get to sit back and be a kid because I'm here. And that is my job, And,
That's
there's a relaxing to him when I would say that, because he's like, okay, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're here.
Yeah, you're here, and I'm okay.
And everybody can relax.
And it really gives the children a sense of security in the home when there's a mom. I mean, if they're just a bunch of friends living under the roof and everybody's everybody's opinion counts equally, then there is no security. But what Chrys is referring to, I love the fact that she's telling us to be a mom, or if you're raising grandchildren, be the grandparent that's in charge, because they need that security. When we were growing up, and Chrys and I know we use that phrase a lot, but we do liken a lot of things to our own childhood. I was one of 3, Chrys was one of 6. Our mothers were the moms, and they expected us to follow suit, to fall in line with what they were doing. They didn't ask our opinion about everything, which is where I'm going with this.
Yes.
Now it's like, what movie do you want to watch? The kids choose.
Right.
What where do you want to go to eat? The kids choose. Do you want to go uptown or not? The kids choose. And so you have this little bitty army of people that are ruling the roost. And I think about the movie Boss Baby. You have a whole lot of boss babies.
Yeah.
And if you have a lot of boss babies, you're not going to have a relaxing home.
That is so good, because I see so much of that today, and some of it, there's a balance in all of this. There are times that it's don't think that we're saying don't ever let your kids choose things. Obviously, there's going to be times for that.
There's a balance.
But we've tipped the scales way the other direction, where kids literally are in charge of very important decisions that we were not in charge of, and I could sit back and relax and let my mom make that decision, and I didn't have to choose everything. It brought you
comfort.
Yes, it
now
really
you
does.
have on the last one here to expect the unexpected. I'm going to let you tell us. I think I know what we're going to talk about here, but what do you mean when you say expect the unexpected will bring you peace?
Well, many, many years ago, this is when John Luke was 8. He's my oldest grandson. And we were headed to the store, and he said, Mom, I've learned 3 things in life. Of course, he was 8. And so I was like, okay, this is going to be good.
This is good.
It's going to be good. And I said, what's that, buddy? And he said, you have to expect the unexpected. You have to work hard, you have to play hard, then you have to expect the unexpected. That's how he said it.
Yeah.
And then he said, do you know which one's the hardest of those? And I was like, okay, well,
I'm
pretty much overwhelmed that an 8-year-old
Yeah.
said you have to work hard and play hard and expect the unexpected. But then he said the hardest one is expecting the unexpected. And I thought, man, how true is that? Because those 2 words, expect means knowing if something is going to happen, and unexpected means you don't know something has happened. So how do you know what you don't know is about to happen? And then I've always thought in my brain, as I've thought back about his very wise words at 8, you go back to the first 2. You work hard and you play hard. So when the unexpected happens, you are ready for it. So even as moms and dads, one way we can relax in our household is by knowing that these certain things are going to happen. Now, that's not to face the world with gloom and doom, but it is to face your day knowing, okay, you know what? my kid is going to complain if all of this stuff isn't by the door and ready, and I don't. So you know what we have to do as a parent? We have to expect that and be prepared for it. And I tell parents a lot of times, young moms, if you have to get up 30 minutes early so you can have a little quiet time, drink your coffee, whatever, then do that. Discipline yourself to do the things that can take a little bit of the unexpected. That's what that work hard and play hard is kind of, I think, about. Do those things so that when unexpecteds jump out there, you're like, oh, okay, I can handle this.
Right.
I'm
well,
not,
and
I'm
you're
not too
prepared
bad.
for it.
Yes.
If you know, because Chris and I are both big on routines and organization, and so we're encouraging you to be organized with their lunches. You should see my daughter in Houston, by the way, Jessica. She cracks me up in the morning. I mean, it's a science out there. I mean, she has their lunches and their bags and everything is a science, because what happens then is you create margin for the unexpected. So if you handle what you can do and you create a routine in your home and you create, you know, those schedules, then you're doing yourself a favor, because you can't expect the unexpected to happen. But if it's already chaos and then the unexpected, okay, then you have a problem.
Nobody's relaxing.
Nobody's going to relax. So if you create a schedule and a way of handling your home that the kids can expect what's coming next, then when life comes in with the unexpected, it doesn't have to send everything into a tailspin.
I love that saying, creating that margin, because I think back as my school teacher years, I used to tell students in my class that the reason to prepare for a test is so you can relax when the test is handed to you. Every test I ever took that I wasn't prepared for, I was a nervous wreck. But the test that I had studied and I was ready for, I was like, oh, give me that. You know, I'm ready for it.
I can do that. I'm the boss of that.
That's right. And that's the thing with our parenting too. If we approach that with, okay, wait, I'm going to be ready for this. Whatever that thing is, I'm going to be ready for it. And then know on top of what that thing is, there will be some unexpected things. But like Shellie said, when you've created some space in there, some little margin time, some little breathing time, everybody is going to be able to relax a little bit.
And we all need to relax. And we hope that y'all can relax. And we hope that you can take some of these tips that Chris has brought us today, and that you can remember our acrostic to realize that no one's perfect. Expect unconditional love. Let it go.
Embrace unconditional love.
Embrace unconditional love. And then, what were they, Chris?
Act
Let
as
it go.
the parent, act as the mom and dad, and expect the unexpected.
That's good.
That's it.
Hope you can remember them better than I did. I had them in my head there for a second, Chris.
You can go back and listen to it too. There you go.
There you go.
That's it. All right. That's our show for the day. We're